Hi everyone, I am here with the latest Soul Connections reading. I feel like, I don't know how you guys feel, but I feel like it's been months since I've recorded a video for you. Many of you who follow me on my Facebook page know my day job has been absolutely ridiculous. I've been working all kinds of overtime. I just have not had time to devote to the spiritual stuff, to my business that I'd hoped that I'd like to typically devote to it. So I appreciate your patience for putting up with my absence, but it feels really good to be back for now. For the time being, I think the rest of the year is going to be pretty intense, but I had to come on here because speaking of intense, the energy has been insane. I don't know what has been going on. Well, I kind of do. I mean, we kind of knew that the rest of the year was going to be pretty crazy after Scorpio season and everything that happened there with death and transformation. Um, Sagittarius season has been no different. If you guys remember, the last video I recorded, I think was the new moon in Sagittarius, I believe, for the Soul Connections. And what came out for me, the biggest thing that stuck out in my mind was that your counterpart, the one holding more of the masculine charge, was probably going to come back and going to be in very what I was, we got 2 pages, I think, that came out in that very immature, childish type energy that, just showing that they're not in that, space where they're ready, and that was going to require you to set some boundaries and kind of, it was going to be difficult and to walk away. So I myself, I have been tested with that. I've been tested with boundaries with friends, with past life connections. I have had just test after test after test as far as standing up for myself and getting past that point where I worry about hurting people's feelings, even though I care about them. It's kind of like you got to put yourself first. So I don't know how this past 2, 3 week period has been for you guys, but I've had a lot of that going on. I think we're really being kind of pushed to get into balance with our masculine and feminine side. And for me, that was part of my wounded feminine, was not having enough boundaries, not setting boundaries, not standing up for myself, just wanting to people please. And I needed to become stronger in that area. So I was definitely challenged with that. Um, this next full moon that's coming up, and today I'm recording this, I think yeah, it's the 8th. I can't even keep track of time anymore. It's just going so fast. But the 12th is the full moon. So we have the full moon on 12/12 at 12:12 a.m. in Gemini, which is the sign of the twins. You guys, you know what I'm going to say, right? You can't make this shit up. You can't. I mean, it's inevitable that if you're twin flame, or if you're in this 5D sort of soul connection, whatever you want to label, you want to call it, you're going to be impacted by this energy. So I think this 12/12 gateway slash full moon is just going to be a really pivotal time for us. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. This time I'm feeling called to start with the feminine energy. And again, I know I say this a lot, but it's important to remember that we all have masculine and feminine energy within us, and our goal on this journey is to balance both sides of that. So, I myself am finding that a lot of these readings, that when I watch them, that they talk about the masculines doing this or the feminines doing this, I'm really identifying with both now, where I'm looking back to on my journey, this whole time, thinking, oh, well, it was just him that had karmic partners, and him that, I stopped dating people, and I, became celibate and all these things. And then it's like, no, I really did have all this other, I mean, I had a lot of past life stuff that I had to work through. I had, tests in this life where I kept getting frustrated and going back to try to seek validation outside of myself, which is sort of what the karmic lessons are. So looking back, there was a lot of times where, well, we were always mirroring each other. So I think it's, there's just so much that's happening. I mean, I myself, I think, I know I have a lot of friends who I think they're very close. I think coming into physical, a physical relationship with their counterpart. I mean, I see so much progress, and I think it's happening. I think others are attracting in people that they never dreamed could exist. People who are like, you're like, where were you? Where have you been? I kind of have both. I can kind of see my situation going either way, honestly, because I'm at this point where I've just completely detached. When somebody's coming to me and they're not a king, I have no problem just saying, well, if this isn't the time, then I'm just going to keep focusing on myself. And Lord knows I have enough to keep me busy right now. And then here I go, I'm buying a car yesterday and I met somebody and I'm just like, who are you? And I mean, I don't think it's like there's such a big age difference. I don't think that that's a potential romantic connection for me. I mean, there was definitely something there, but like, I think it's at the same time, it's like, wow, if this is here and people like this are starting to come around, I'm really starting to draw in a lot of different people. I mean, people that are my Facebook friends. I got asked out by a guy, and I don't think he's on the soul connection path, but I kind of just told him, I'm like, look, I've been on and off with somebody for 3 years, and it's not done. So what do you really say to somebody when they try to ask you out? You can't say, well, I'm a twin flame, and I can't go out with you. So I kind of just have to, but yeah, I'm starting to get a lot more interest. I'm having just meeting new people. So I think, not to digress about this, but I think it's a really exciting time. If you've been doing the work, if you've been going through all of these things, clearing karma, you're going to have a lot of options coming forward. If you're a feminine or a masculine. So now we'll finally get started. All right. So angel spirit guides and the masters, please use me as a clear channel. Messages for the collective, the divine feminine. What's going on with the divine feminine right now and her energy? The feminine energy with this 1212 gateway. This is the Angel Tarot. I was guided to use this one. I haven't used it. These were the first tarot cards that I ever purchased. The traditional tarot, anyway. All right. Yeah. It's kind of fitting. I knew that card was going to come out. That's so weird when I was shuffling and I saw this one earlier. All right. Feminines. Lots of swords. That's a different, actually we got out pretty much every suit. We do have every suit represented. Okay, feminines. So I think, if I remember correctly, a lot of my videos, I always talk about self-love, that it's just so important to find that self-love, to focus on yourself. And when you do that, when you heal you, when you love you, if you're not doing that, if there's areas where you're not loving yourself, that's where they're going to mirror it back. If you're not showing up for you, they're not going to show up for you, right? So you need to be your focus, and you need to detach from them. I'm getting that there's still some of that that still needs to happen, because I kind of read the 1 and 2 position in conjunction. It's weird because I've got like the blocking energy here, but for me they sort of are just intertwined. A lot of times I feel like the one here on the bottom is kind of the one blocking. So I don't know if that makes sense, but that's just how I intuitively read them, in case you get confused with the way I describe it. But 9 of Cups is the current theme right now, along with the 9 of Wands. So there's been a lot of self-love. There's been a lot of self-work, self-reflection. I think, many of us are really starting to come into our own, to have our career and the things that you're wanting to manifest. Those things are starting to happen. But I think, too, there's still, I know we don't like to hear this, but there's still some more work that needs to be done on ourselves, solo, before we can manifest that new partnership. Before, we've not quite come into our own yet, right? Did I not? It's weird. I just said kind of coming into our own and coming into fruition. But the blocking energy is the 2 of Wands, which in this card, it's kind of interesting because they have like little descriptions for her intention for what they mean. And it says you've come into your own. So if it's crossed, you've not quite got there yet. But I think it's something we're still working on. There's maybe some new partnership or contract, something that you've been contemplating doing that you haven't done yet. You haven't taken that leap. Maybe you haven't believed in yourself, that you can do it. And I think if that's speaking to you right now, then that's a sign that you need to do it. That you're being charged with, like, that's the last step that you need to take on your path to do that. You shouldn't be giving up. I think, that's one of the things with the feminines, that the feminine energy just gets really fed up because they feel like they're the ones that are the magicians. They feel like they're the ones manifesting. They're the ones that awakened first. They're the ones that are like doing all these things, and you're seeing progress, obviously in your self growth. You're probably seeing progress in your counterpart as well, but maybe in that connection with how they're showing up for you, it's still like the page energy, and you're like, what the heck, right? You feel like you've got this burden on you. Nine of Wands it's kind of a burden card. You're taking it all on yourself. You feel like, when are we going to work together as a team? When are we going to get to the 10 and share the burden together? Um, the 9, this is saying, don't give up, protect that which you've created, have courage, and believe in yourself. So I feel like, too, maybe this has not come to fruition, whatever this is, as far as you coming into your own, because you've not fully believed that you're capable of doing the things that you're dreaming about doing. But I think that there's been maybe some kind of a swift, there's kind of momentum picking up right now, with December. I just feel like, for me, like I said, the last couple of weeks, which is what this position represents, the Chariot, there's just been some swift, fast change in just how I show up for myself. And I think once you make those changes for you and only you, it's inevitable that your counterpart is, if they are the one that you're supposed to be ending up with and working towards a union with, it's inevitable, it's alchemical. You guys know I say that all the time. But yeah, we've got the Chariot here. Archangel Metatron is the archangel. So I don't know if any of you ever call on archangels, but that's kind of the swift, like no nonsense, like boom, standing up for yourself. That's what I'm getting. Like you're taking the reins. You're taking the reins and saying, for me, this is like, I'm not putting up with this shit anymore. I am showing up for myself, and I'm not going to feel guilty about it. And setting these boundaries, and it's necessary. An important achievement: self-discipline and willpower, public recognition. I mean, self-discipline, I think, is very much towards working towards your goal, but also it takes discipline to stand up for yourself and to show up for you. What we're wanting though now is to kind of see, I think there's still, like I said, some frustration. You're wanting to see kind of the results of what you've planted here. You're like, okay, I have, especially just since the fall, since Scorpio season, you guys know all the things that have happened to me in transforming myself. And I know I still have work to do for sure. That's no doubt, but I kind of feel like, man, I thought there would be maybe some sort of a manifestation of something, some sort of physical contact, more maturity, when him coming back around, instead of what I got, which was very much distance and reaching out, and then not just hours and hours and hours between messages, and just clear that, yeah, you're saying that you want to get together, but you're not ready. If you're ready, you'd make a plan. You would make a plan. When I give you availability, you would make a plan. You would not wait 10 hours to respond with nothing committal. And, I'm not upset or anything like that. It's just kind of like, you know what? I'm not going to chase a ghost. I'm not going to chase an illusion. I'm not going to chase someone who's not ready. I'm going to chase me. And I'm going to put everything into manifesting my life, and to, focus on myself. So, I think with the 7 of air, 7 of swords, plans that need revision, more going on than meets the eye, poor timing. I think that's just like, we're just kind of frustrated. We want it to be time. We've wanted it to be time for ages and ages and ages, right? But as, think about where you were, my God, a year ago, I thought I was ready, and there's no way in hell. I had so much growth to still do. I didn't even have my YouTube channel a year ago, you guys. I mean, I'm thinking about that kind of stuff, and like, I had my business, but I really wasn't doing a lot with it, and I wasn't able to reach a lot of people. I didn't start my YouTube channel until March. I think it was March or April. I just had a lot of growth, and obviously, healing myself. The past life stuff all came about this year. I hadn't done any past life karma clearing. There's a lot of stuff, and who knows what we may still have to do, right? There's a whole divine plan around this. And I think, what this is saying, though, when it's kind of beautiful that I was drawn to these cards, because it says more going on than meets the eye. I think you've got to remember that there's so much going on behind the scenes here. This almost looks like sort of like a psychedelic carousel, right? With these horses that are kind of running all over the place, and there's like explosions of stardust, right? Like all around. There's more going on behind the scenes, and we've got to remember that the things that we're being challenged with, tested with, may be different than our counterpart, right? I don't think he's dealing with all the past life stuff. I think myself, like being the one that awakened first, was the one that, by design, by what we chose, was going to be the one that had to tackle those issues. But that doesn't mean he's not working through things. My God, I mean, he's the transformation I've seen in him, and just since the spring, since the summer, it's astounding. And I'm very proud of him. And, everybody has on this journey has their own battles, their own challenges, their own tests and things. So you've just got to keep that in mind, that it's not time yet. I know we don't want to hear that. We want it to be time, but at the same time, you want them to come to you whole, and you want to be your whole best self too. Because I know in my situation, I was at the point like where I would just accept crumbs from him, like crumbs. Like if he would just want to see me once every 3 months, oh my God, yes. Like I get it like one night with him for a few hours. And now it's like, you know what? If you aren't ready to, and I'm not even necessarily saying commit to a relationship, but just commit to a plan, to make a plan to see me and spend time with me more than once every 3 months. But period, if you're not even ready to talk to me, to just any of this stuff, like I don't, I'm not interested in crumbs anymore. And I've gotten to this point where I'm strong enough to just say it's not time and recognize that. And it may never be. And that's okay. That's okay. Because, when you're doing this work and you get to this point where you start attracting in other opportunities, and you realize, you let go of that fear that you've been doing this work, feminines. You're not going to be left high and dry. The more you raise your vibration, the more you're able to manifest. Oh my God. So look, the magician, I mean, you got the infinity symbol with the wings, right? You've got your wings. You're able to manifest beautiful, beautiful things. Once you've got to reach that balance, this is the temperance card. And, eventually I think when we do this is crazy. The more we manifest our own energy, we balance ourselves, we're patient, we just focus within. This awakening is the Hanged Man. But I think in this deck, to me, the fact they call it awakening, I think it is like alchemically going to bring forth your counterpart to you. They're going to, come upright. Once you get to this certain level, it's like a tuning fork, and the feminines have to get their vibration up to that certain level, and then it just snaps. And I think it's just going to all of a sudden, there is, if the masculine's unawakened, if your counterpart's unawakened, it's going to bring them, forward, and you've got your 10 of Cups here. So, regardless, whoever it is, it's going to bring this shift in, and you're going to attract someone who's your divine counterpart. So I think what we have to get over, which is easier said than done, is this illusion of being trapped. I was in that energy for a while, this 8 of Swords, feeling like, so many times, you guys know, throughout this process, I've documented it, that I wanted to be done with this journey. I tried to veer off path. Every time I've tried to veer off path, going back to unhealthy hookups, or connections or things like that, trying to date somebody new who also was not, on the spiritual path, just being in resistance mode and being, quote, done with my counterpart, but immediately trying to latch onto somebody else. I had to get to the point where I was, quote, done or ready to let him go energetically, not necessarily done with him like I was in the past, like just wanting to be done with him, but like loving him unconditionally and just saying, you know what, just respecting that he's not ready. I'm not going to push, but not having to have another option, just really, truly being happy. Like, you know what, I'm not going to be afraid to lose this, because I know something else will come to me in time when it's time. But I had this feeling of a long time of being trapped. It's like if I'm on this twin flame journey, I can't break the bond. I can't, just feeling like I'm stuck. What did I sign up for? And when you're in that type of an attitude about it, you're only going to keep manifesting this stagnant energy and feeling stuck, because when you get in that resistance mode and you get to the point where you're so frustrated, it's because you feel like you're done doing the work, and you're not, because you've got to remember they're marrying back to you. If they're not showing up for you, there's some way that you're not showing up for yourself. And there was a long time where I just was ready to be done, but I wasn't looking at myself in the mirror and looking at all the things I needed to be doing. So, lack of self-confidence, this came up again, you guys, this 8 of Swords, lack of self-confidence, not believing in yourself on the 9 of Wands. So I think some of you feminines still don't have enough belief in yourself, that you can be happy on your own, you can manifest on your own, that you can have the pinnacles, you can, you can truly be happy on your own, and that you can step into mission on your own. You don't need your masculine. You can set up a YouTube channel. If I can do it, I hate being on camera, you guys, and this just feels natural. Your spirit, when you're being called to do something, that's part of your mission, that you signed up for this, you're going to be supported in every way, and you're just going to be surprised at how effortlessly things start to fall into place, when you give into that call, when you follow it, and you just know. Because I never would have dreamed a year ago I'd be doing this ever. Like, I was watching all these readers, and it's like, wow, and I never thought I'd have the confidence to do the things I'm doing, and I never dreamed I'd have the support that I do from people, who don't think I'm crazy, or maybe they just don't say it out loud. But so once you get into this, like I said, this mindset of confidence, stepping into your power, balancing your energy, setting boundaries, look what you have. You have your King of Cups coming forward. This could be some of you might be dealing with a Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, but just in general, it's that energy of a loving king, a king. That's what you want. You want a king. You don't want a page. You don't want a knight. You want a freaking king, because kings are strong. They, they're there. They're stable. Especially the King of Cups. He's going to be stable in his emotions. That's what, a lot of the reason that the masculines, run, is because they're not stable in their emotions. The connection with the divine feminine, it brings up so much, of their wounds and their insecurities, and to be faced with that divine love that they've never had before, it forces all this stuff up to the surface, which is why they run, which is why they ghost. And so, until you show up for you, though, and focus on you, you've got to let them do the same. You've got to give them the space. You've got to give them the respect, and detach, and let them, just as you awakened on your own and went through these things on your own, as much as you want to shelter them, protect them. I know I tried, like, to tell mine, like, oh, and all these things, and it's like he doesn't understand until he goes through it himself. I mean, I'm glad now that I told him everything, because I was guided to at the time. And I'm surprised he still talks to me after that, but that was over a year ago. He doesn't think I'm crazy, at least he said that. So anyway, I digress, but they have to do this. They have to become a king on their own. You can't make them a king. You've got to make yourself a queen. And so until they're ready, you may get, for Page of Swords for me is cutting off communication. There may be a separation, and you should allow that. I think you should give them that space. At least in my situation and everybody's situation, you just listen to what your soul, like, I'm not upset with him. I'm just giving him space, because we're getting nowhere with me reaching out or wanting to see him or doing these things, that I've always engaged in these patterns. And it's like, when he's ready, he'll come to me. If that's meant to be. I'm just going to continue doing my own thing. So I think, for some of us, this also, though, could result in, you just kind of feel, they may feel left out in the cold. I know this is the feminine's energy. You may feel left out in the cold by them. But you've got to understand that, again, this stuff going on behind the scenes, the Seven of Swords, it's all happening in divine timing. And you've just got to respect that and get to the point where, even though you might miss them and it might hurt, and you get to this point, though, where you're kind of just at peace with everything, and you understand why this has to happen. Because, if you're going to develop a 5D conscious relationship with somebody, you both have to be completely, I mean, nobody's ever completely perfect or healed, don't get me wrong, but you have to be strong, stable, secure, love yourself. You have to do all these things, separately. That's the reason for these separations. You have to find yourself, love yourself first and foremost, balance within yourself. Because, as much as you trigger each other, think about this. If you were to come together, I mean, you're never going to be able to come together in a healthy relationship with your mirror self if you can't look your own self in the mirror and address the things that need to be fixed. You're going to constantly trigger each other. So this time, apart is necessary. What I'm getting, though, is that we've got the Knight of Swords as the outcome after this 12/12 gateway and with this full moon. So I think there's been a lot of growth. I've seen it just within myself, with my friends, who aren't even, the ones, even people I'm setting boundaries with, they're then like, boom, shifting and setting their own boundaries within their own life. And they've grown. I mean, some of these people, I'm just like, well, a week had went by and it seemed like a month. And I'm like, who are you? I'm so proud of you. This is amazing. And so I think there's going to be a big shift. And I know, I mean, again, we're sort of melding the energies right now, right? We started with the feminine, but it's getting more into the masculine, because, this is, you're wanting to attract your king. And I think this is just the way it's going, is everything's kind of weaving together. We will look at the masculines as well, but you've got the Knight of Swords, events that occur with great speed. Take time to carefully review your options, creative solutions. I think there is going to be some major shifts that happen after this 12/12. This reading is specifically for the 12/12 gateway and the full moon, but also with the winter solstice, which is the mirror number back. 12/21, I think, is the date, which is probably not random that it's that. I think there's just a lot of action that's going to happen. Knight of Swords is quick energy, it's fast. I know it's a knight, but I'm reading this more of energy at this point. Like there's going to be a shift. I'm just picking it up as a shift in the dynamic. And I think there is going to be, I think, an opportunity. I think many counterparts are going to come together in the month of December, and not necessarily in union, in a full-on relationship, but I think there's going to be some sort of physical encounter, that I feel like I've been saying, I've just been sensing that there's something that's going to happen, that the feminine's got the activation. Many of them, at least in my situation, some of them just got it by meeting, some of them got it, I got it physically, energetically. Many of you know that story, but it was May of 17 when I was starting to go through ascension, and then that night that I was with him, I literally tasted heaven. I tasted his soul, and I don't know how to describe the feeling. I still, you think about it and it just blows my mind. Like it was just this recognition. It was something so profoundly beyond me. It was literally like I was in the absolute presence of God. Um, and so many things transpired after that, and my life changed, right? I feel like there's going to be some sort of a thing that happens with many of the counterparts where the masculine has a similar experience. Maybe not the same thing, but some sort of there's a physical contact, and it's kind of just something clicks with them, that they feel that sense of home. They feel maybe more confident in the interaction, the physical interaction, where maybe the masculines didn't have that confidence. There's more balance in the interaction that sort of makes them feel more comfortable. But I think there's still then going to be some processing that has to take place for many. But there are definitely some counterparts coming into union anyway. But I'm getting, for a lot of them, that it's going to be winter, in 2020. So let's take a look. Let's see what message the feminine has for the masculine. Now that we took like 30 minutes for the feminine, but I think we do this because it's so intertwined anyway, and we get into the dynamic. I'm gonna use the energy oracle. I was drawn to that one. What message does the feminine have for the masculine right now for the 12/12 gateway? That's cute. Door to personal healing and happiness. And I think it's just, I'm just getting this message that it's like, don't be afraid. I think some of the masculines still at times might be trying to close off that side of themselves, that knowing, that they have to face these things, and that they are their own healer, that they need to go within themselves versus external gratification, doing, going out and partying, and just becoming, overworking, those types of things, to where they're just closing off that part of themselves. And I think this is just that the feminine wants to remind the masculine, don't get too far into that energy, where you're overworking, overstimulating, doing all these other things when you should be going within, calming yourself, listening to your intuition. It adds up to a 7. That's really beautiful. But that, you are, you can make yourself happy. And also, she's, I think, offering this, I'm getting too, is like, yes, understanding that he needs to make these changes himself, but I think also that um, she's extending a branch to say, look, like, I, I can, I serve as your beacon and we can work together as a team. If you open this door, if you come, if you choose the light, it will take work, but I'm willing to work with you as a team. I realize, I'm still going to need fixing. Everybody's going to have to work through things, especially, signing up for this journey. Um, it's not going to be easy. There's still going to be continued ascension, continued lessons, serving as a light bearer and a gatekeeper and all these different things as we enter into a new reality. And the more that's happening, the more hate rises, the more darkness, and it's trying to get things into balance. So I think what she wants, the feminine wants him to know is that, I'm here for you. And yes, you need to heal yourself before coming here, but you need to learn how to do that. But together we can also open this. I think this is like the gate. This is like the gateway. You've got to come to the light. And this is like the 1212 is going to be urging them to kind of make that final push to realize they no longer can live in this energy of this like fight or flight, hostility, holding maybe, the triggers that come up when they're around their feminine, holding it against them, putting up their sword, putting up their guard. There's no more of that. It's time to come through the door. That's so beautiful. Okay, so now that we're, almost done with the reading, let's see what we've got for masculines. I'm just going to use the Twin Flame Journey Tarot because it's just one that's just straight to the point. I think what gets me in trouble too is with a lot of this time-wise is the energy. Like, I just love looking at the images. Let's go with the Divine Masculines with this 12/12 gateway. Full moon, what do we want to know? All right, this is one that wants to come out. Yikes. It's interesting that both sides got the Eight of Swords. Okay. That makes sense. All right, so the masculines are in kind of some heavy energy right now. It's not really surprising. I mean, they're kind of going through an accelerated, rapid awakening at this point in time. Some of them, I think, are feeling like they've missed an opportunity, that they've blown it with their feminine, especially if the feminines, as I was saying earlier, if many of them have started to set boundaries, walk away, not accept crumbs. I think they're kind of like, oh shit, I've blown it. Some of them might be in that sort of feeling like that it's just that cup isn't there for them anymore. I think they're kind of stuck in that energy of maybe feeling like things have never worked out for them romantically. They don't deserve love. They don't deserve, they're not worthy of it. I think they're having a lot of those wounds come up, I'm getting, like, from childhood, especially if they had mother issues. They're just feeling kind of abandoned, and they're feeling kind of lonely right now. This Ten of Swords, painful ending, is kind of blocking them from getting out of this missed opportunity energy. So I think they're still, like I said, some of them are closing off that part of them. Every time that stuff comes up, they're not wanting to face it. There's been a lot of pain, a lot of ghosts in their past, and they're in sort of that attitude, like they want to come forward. They want to be a king. They want to be that confident King of Wands. They you might be dealing with a fire sign, Aries, Leo, Sag, but this is more the energy of the confident masculine, and they want that, but I think they just feel like it's never worked out in the past for them. they're sort of in that mindset right now. Like the devil is the current energy, obsession. Um, I think that's more ego. It's more like, yeah, I think they're in this kind of obsessive thought. They're very much in their head. They feel it's like a self-imposed prison. They are focusing on all the things that can go wrong, all the things that have went wrong in the past, why it wouldn't work out. I think they're fantasizing about a life with getting out of the stuck energy and moving forward because they see her. I mean, they know this goddess, this empress, this divine feminine. They know who she is. They see her that way. They just kind of feel like they're in this place where they aren't worthy of it. They still are feeling that. They're very much ego, fear, um, just just really kind of stuck. I mean, when you've got the devil and the hangman here, but the hangman is the action forward. So I think when it says new perspectives, that's where I was getting what I was getting at earlier, um, with the last spread where I said there might be some sort of a connection, a physical triggering activation that, oh my God, activation. You guys are, you can't make this shit up. The Fool, by the way, that's a new beginning. But that there's something that I think is going to happen for many counterparts where the masculine, something shifts in them. They get a new perspective, is what I think I talked about earlier, was they get a new perspective on the situation, or like a recognition, that gives them this confidence, right? I was talking about them getting more confident in themselves and in interacting with the feminine, um, so that they can sort of overcome these fears, this devil energy, this feeling kind of like obsessing about. I think they're kind of obsessing about what to do because they want to come forward, they want to move forward, but they feel stuck because they still have a lot of this crap they haven't cleared out of their heart chakra yet. The fears, the wounds, the what ifs, knowing, I think at this point, many of the feminines have expressed their feelings, that they want a relationship with their counterpart. And I think a lot of them are sort of feeling pressure. And so they kind of just shut down, and they're just in this like inner, like this loop of like, yeah, they're very much in their head. Five of Swords in this card, in this deck, it's not really for me a deception card or a heart. It's mind games and control. They're very much like not letting their higher self dictate things right now. They're just staying stuck in their head. They're staying stuck on the past, focusing on where everything has went wrong and not having the confidence to make that change. But what I'm getting is, their ultimate desire, well, number one, I think their higher self is going to kind of kick them in the ass. And I think some of that energy, is going to come forward through this gateway, kind of force them to, hey, I know you don't want to do this, but guess what? You're going to, as nervous as you are or whatever, you're going to make plans and you're going to see her. And I think once they get a taste of that, again, they've already kind of know, they see her as the empress, they see her as the one that they could have the 10 of cups with, the contentment, joy, the ultimate relationship. But I think part of the problem is many of them never dreamed they would have that. They never saw that growing up. They didn't think that that was something that was in the cards for them. So they've hid away, their feelings. Seven of Swords. It's funny because we got the Seven of Swords. Both counterparts got the Seven and Eight of Swords. Sort of the self-imposed prison. I think it's, a lack of confidence on both sides of where they're mirroring each other. But for them, I think for the masculines, it's this deceiving themselves of, the truth of their feelings, and not coming forward because they feel that this 10 of cups, they see her that as the way as the empress. But what I'm getting with the energy is there's going to be this swift kind of epiphany, truth coming out, and the divine timing was the Seven of Swords in that other card, or that other deck, was about it not being the right time. And I'm getting that things are going to be shifting pretty quickly. I mean, we've got the Fool here, which is the activation, and I was just saying they might get an activation this month. And once that shifts, energy surge and communication happens. Like whenever it's time, and that's the thing I think many of us have been pushing just for like a little bit, like because you're almost addicted, obsessed with them, right? You want a little bit, you just want a little taste, and then like they get triggered, and then you get triggered, and it's like now you're at the point where you just want, you're not willing to accept this small little bits and pieces anymore. And I think they're picking up on that. The masculines are picking up on that. And that's, I think, when things shift, I mean, I'm just getting the sense that it's going to happen really fast. It's going to happen really fast. And they are working on themselves right now. Eight of Pentacles, that's my kind of awakening card. They're kind of, you know, really coming into who they are meant to be here. Six of Swords is calmer energy. Tranquility. I think, you know, there's been a lot right now going on behind the scenes. This to me is also a behind the scenes kind of card that of the higher selves kind of dictating, you know, what's going on. So before we run out of time, I'm going to pull a message from the masculine. Here we go. Twin Flame messages. I meant to order her volume 2 before I did this video, and I haven't done that yet. I do want to do that, but I'm trying to limit the cards I'm buying. I have enough. All right, what message does the masculine have for the feminine, for the 12-12 gateway? Please don't take what happened personally. It's not you, it's me. Again, it's them. I was just saying earlier, it's them pulling away to process it, because seeing us triggers lots of things up in them, and it says, I miss you regardless of how things seem. I miss you regardless of how things may seem. So that is really, really beautiful. I'm going to pull one more card, guys. Hopefully we don't get cut off. Maybe 2 cards. We'll see. The moon, I've got to pull the moon cards because I bought these and then never remember to do them on the moon readings. So let's see what this full moon energy, they don't like to shuffle the way that I like to shuffle. Don't let your past hold you back. South Node. Don't let your past hold you back. And I think that's the big thing for the masculine. Somewhat for the feminines, not having confidence and standing on their own. Maybe some past life stuff. Let it go. Cut out shit. Cut out people. Cut out situations that are holding you back. But for the masculines, I think it's their pain. It's their past pain that's holding them back from coming forward. Okay, one more message from Archangel Michael. Archangel Michael wanted to be here with the message for the twin flames, divine counterparts, soul connections. Focus upon divine and perfect health. God and Archangel Michael, thank you for continuously reminding me to focus upon perfect health and for guiding my actions so they support my well-being. So I think it's just, again, this is more about self-love, focusing on you. The toxic patterns, if you're partying, going out a lot, not eating healthy, this is a reminder that you've got to get your body, to raise your vibration, you've got to have your body pure as you can. So I think that's what Archangel Michael wants us all to remember, is to focus on being our best self, health-wise. And that's not just physical body, it's emotional and spirit as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this reading. Again, I think it's there's going to be some major changes. I may come on if I have time and do a solstice soul connections video as well. So stay tuned for that. Till next time.